Hey, greetings gamers, Agent SN, and before I begin this video, I just want to make a huge note that in a couple months, this video might be outdated. That's because I've been playing through Persona 5 Royal lately, but so far, I've actually been expecting, for it to surpass Tales of Arise as my favorite game of all time. I'm not going to confirm it yet, but you'll find out in the coming months when I make, a frustrated and a fantastic on it. But anyway, though, I just wanted you to make sure that when I beat Persona 5 Royal, it might surpass Tales of Arise, and Tales of Arise might not be my favorite game anymore in a few months, but at the moment, Tales of Arise is still my favorite game of all time. With that, but with that out of the way, let's go! So, let's talk about Tales of Arise. Alright, greetings gamers, Agent SN, and today I want to talk about, to me, what was probably one of the biggest surprises of gaming in my life. And that is Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise is the game that is now my favorite game of all time, and it has been since November when I finished the game. Before launch, it was a game that I had huge hype for, and then I was not disappointed at all, and I absolutely fell in love with the game as soon as it came out. I spent 2 months playing through it. So yeah, Tales of Arise is a game that was truly groundbreaking to me, and probably many other people who enjoyed the game too. But so today I'm going to be going into all about it and seeing. And seeing what made it so great, and show you guys why it's my all-time favorite game for now. Alright, so without further ado, let's go! So, before Tales of Arise, there was Tales of Berseria, which was the last Tales game before Arise. Now, Tales of Berseria was released in Japan in August of 2016, but released in America, and also the rest of the world, in January of 2017. And the game was released on the PS3, but only in Japan, but worldwide, it was released on PS4 and PC. Anyway, though, after this game, there was basically a big gap between this game and Arise, as it was 5 years. Now, between that, we got a remastered version of Tales of Vesperia, called Tales of Vesperia, the 5th edition, released in January of 2019, but aside from that, there was basically a big 5-year gap between a new Tales game, and then with Berseria, is that Berseria came, it was only a little after Zestiria, and the game's a prequel to Zestiria, and Tales of Zestiria was released in 2015, just 3 or 4 years after Xillia 1 and 2. So yeah, but 5 years was by far one of the biggest gaps for a Tales game. But why that? Well, let's find out. So Tales of Arise was announced in June of 2019, and from what we saw here with these graphics at the time, this looked absolutely brilliant and absolutely amazing. I mean, the Tales games never looked like this before. I mean, it still kept the anime aesthetic style that all the rest of the series had, but it's set in a completely new graphical style that Bandai Namco also used. I think maybe for the God Eater games, I'm not sure, but they also used it for Code Vein and Scarlet Nexus, both of which were out yet at the time, but they were going to use it for those games, but they decided to take the engine from Code Vein and Scarlet Nexus and use it for their next Tales game. And for what I saw here, the game looked perfect. We saw a man with a fiery sword going around something that looked very, very new for the series, and in a very great way. This game was very innovative for the series, and for a very good way. And from what we saw back then, this game already looked to be amazing. And when it finally came out, it did not disappoint. Now let's get into it. After that trailer we got in June of 2019, the release date was set for 2020. However, it got delayed into 2021 because the game was unfinished, so yeah. But then, we got new info in April of 2021, and this, I remember I flipped at the time. The story was already looked to be amazing. This game looked to have a perfect narrative. This game had potential for my top 5 games of all time. I was mind blown when I saw this. I flipped so hard, and this is a game that I talked about heavily on Discord until it came out in September. This game looked incredible, and I truly was just so mind blown more than ever. But and we kept getting new trailers until the game came out on September 10th, 2021 for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. And I played it on the PC. Anyway, though, now let's get into the actual game. Now, how did it hold up after all this hype? Well, let's find out in 3, 2, 1. So when you first boot up the game, you see this opening, and my gosh, this looks already like the game is going to be good. I mean, you see the two main characters, Alphen and Shion. You see the boy Alphen and the girl Shion right there on the cliff, and then transitions, and it shows Shion's thorns. It sets up the story perfectly, and it's really shows it up so well with how this opening looks. And the music, it also presented it well too, but I can't show you it due to copyright claim. So yeah, but this was really, really cool. And it gets you the main party members. You got to see of the powers, and Alpha point out his blade from Shion's fire. And you already get to see a bit of the cast, and they look so good already. And the animation is already perfect, and already sets up the game super well, which I like, obviously. So yeah. But what about when the game starts? Well, let's find out. So when you first start the game, you see a cutscene that explains some of the backstory, and the game is about two big planets who have been into war with each other, Dana and Rena. Yes. Two opposing forces that have been under a huge war, and there must be peace between them, and that's what this game tries to bring. With Alpha and Shion, each of which who are from each planet, they're on the quest to find peace between the two, and save Dana and Rena once and for all. Now the main character Alvin is a slave on Dana. He has been slaved for a long time and has an iron mask on him. So yeah, but when this game starts off, it actually starts very well. The pacing is very perfect at the start, which is very, very great for a beginning. This game starts and peaks perfectly with how it goes. And yeah, we get to see Alphen as a slave, but but then along the way, he meets a pink-haired girl, Shion. And Shion, came from the other planet, Rena. But she has a curse on her, which is her thorns. Yes. Shion has thorns, and other people cannot touch her for that reason, because she has a curse on her. So, yeah. Just look at the curse, and has had it for I think her whole life? Yeah. So it's time for Alphen to team up with her and try to cure her. So for the first few hours, we're going to be controlling Alphen and Shion here with exploring a bunch of mines, basically. Well, not mines. Well, I think there are some. Well, actually, yeah, some mines, and you're exploring them in this environment here. With this part, we get to see them pretty much start their journey really well, and the story has a perfect start to it, especially with Alpha and Shion's relationship, and it really helps the game, honestly. So yeah. What I like about the start of the game is that we get to see both of their weaknesses and how they team up to fix them. And it adds a very deep story to this game. So yeah, the game overall has a very good beginning. So yeah. And with this, you already know the game has a good beginning, so now let's get into more of the game. Starting off with the gameplay. So let's talk about the battle system. The battle system, well, the game is an action RPG and uses the linear motion battle system from the rest of the series, but in a new way. As a battle transition, of course, but in a great way too. And you can play as 4 characters in a battle at a time, each with their own abilities. Alphen is a sword wielder, Tsukisara is a shield wielder, and the Holland uses a staff. Redwill is the Mage, and Shion is the gunslinger, and yeah. And Law is the brawler who uses fists basically to attack. The battle system plays very well, and there's so much to love about this battle system. Each of the characters you can play as are very good. Now the rest of the Tales games had co-op. However, this one unfortunately does not have any co-op to it, mostly because of the way the story is set up, and Bandai Namco decided the story was more suited for one person, but I'll talk about the story later in this video. Same for the characters, too. But yeah, the battle system is very good, and definitely a great part of the game. Now let's get into the overworld exploration and see how that holds up in just a second. But yes, the battle system plays very, very well, so yeah. And there are some difficulty spikes with the bosses, but other than that, the gameplay is near flawless. But we'll talk about the overworld exploration in a minute. But yeah, what I like about it too is the attacks are very unique, and the skills are definitely too. So yes. Alright, so for the story exploration, not story exploration, but for the overworld exploration, plays is, as normal, overworld exploration, where you, or explore a huge world. And yeah, this game has a huge world. This game's actually jam-packed with content, but in a very good way. And yeah, you explore a huge world basically, and gather items. You can also play on side quests too. And the side quests are pretty good, even though I didn't do many of them in my playthrough, because I mostly focused on the story. So yeah, and each of the worlds here in this game, each of the towns, they actually have a lot of variety to them. So yeah, and it goes very well for sure. And for each of them, the characters have some very good things going on there, which is great for a game like this. And they're all unique. And this game is full of uniqueness to it. So you start off the game exploring through mines and a volcano. There's one area where it's a snow world, and there's going to be another area where it's like in space, I think. So yeah, there's totally a lot here in this game. So yeah. Now something else that I like about each world too is that it also feels very new, shall I say, and kind of unique. So yeah, and this game was very innovative for the Tales series, and this game really showed it. And with each of the worlds, they also have a lot of personality to them. The characters each give information, well, I won't say like about it, but they each have good things happening in it with them. So yes, and that really adds this game, adds to the perfect quality of this perfect masterpiece that the game already is. With each world, each location, there is totally so much with it, and that's something that I like in RPGs. The world, the gameplay, the story, and the characters and the music are something that I care about the most in RPGs. So yeah, and with this, it shows it well with how great it looks and the characters in it. Yes. Now the only thing about the overworld and stuff in this that I didn't like was probably the final dungeon. The final dungeon is very meh. And honestly drags on a lot, and the pacing at the end of the game kind of falls off. But other than that, still very enjoyable. Although the ending has some shortcomings. Well, the ending is good, but the end game part has some issues with it. Especially since the final area kind of drags on, which is a shame for a game that is my favorite game of all time. Now, something else that I like about Tales of Arise with the gameplay is the enemies that you fight. They're actually very unique, and what the uniqueness this game has, this game is full of it, and in a perfect way. And that already grabbed me enough for a game that has hooked me since the beginning. So yes, and this game truly did it all, and everything about this gameplay here really showed it. The enemies you fight, and everything, and the overworld is very good looking with its new with its new visuals. So yeah, everything about this was just very great, and yeah, and the battle system was everything I wanted, and it worked so perfectly for this game. The special attacks are very good too. So yeah, there's so much fun to basically have with this game. So in conclusion, I give the gameplay a huge 10 out of 10 here. Well, actually, I'll give the gameplay here a 9.5 out of 10, mostly because the pacing is very during the ending, but otherwise the pacing works perfectly for this game, and the combat here is just very great. So yeah. Alright, so now let's get into the characters. The first character I want to talk about here is Alphen. Alphen is probably one of my favorite protagonists in gaming. He's one of my favorite protagonists, and for some great reasons. While he is a slave he was a slave on Dana, Dana, who escapes, it actually shows the story perfectly and sets it up well, like I already said in the game. Now, there's lots of memory, but gains it back halfway through. And it really brings us this compellingness that it has. And that's what makes the game, what's part of what makes the game this great. Alphen's insert into the game really adds to this game, and it brings more with it, basically. And that is just, to me, really great to see in a game like this. So yeah. And for the tackle, I mean, he has a sword, he has a fiery sword, and it worked really great with the game, honestly. So yeah. But now let's get into the other characters. Starting up with the dual antagonist Shield. So the second main character is Shield. Shield is a pink-haired woman who is from Rena, but she teams up to help Alphen. I just like about how Alphen has a weakness with him, how he was a slave. With Shield, her weakness is her electric thorns, and some people cannot touch her because she has thorns that will shock you basically if you touch her. So yeah, so the two team up, and overall, this brings some perfect characters to the game, and they each bring amazing moments that add to this to the story, and it helps you basically want to keep going. So yeah. The nerd character is Tsukisara. Tsukisara is another female character in the game who she's actually using a shield, but her character is also very good too. And there's so Hollian, who is the ruler of a kingdom, I think. And yeah. And then there is Redwill, which is the Mage, and yeah. And the nerd character here is Law. Now Law is probably one of my favorite characters in the game. And his attacks are really cool with his brawler attack, right? But his personality is great as well, and he also adds a lot of good to the story. So yeah. Law is a very interesting character. So then we have Redwill. Now Redwill is a mage, and now she's probably my least favorite of the main cast, but she's still an interesting character. But although the rest have much more personality, but I still like Redwill. All right, so I think another interesting character here is Holly. His attacks use a staff, and overall attacks are pretty good. And personality is also really cool. I think it might I think he started off as the ruler of one kingdom, I think, but they actually start off fighting him, but. And he's kind of an enemy at first, but then becomes a friend later on, which is something that I find really interesting, not gonna lie. So yeah. And that's overall really nice. And all the characters here have great things with them. Now we're on to Tsukisara next. So Tsukisara is another interesting character. And yeah. She also has lots of cool attacks and also some interesting personality with the story. And yeah. Don't know what else to say, but Tsukisara is overall a very good character. And backstory is all very good. And all 6 characters in this game have great backstory, especially Alphen and Shield. And yeah. Alright, so now you know about Tales of Arisen's great gameplay and great story, and great beginning setup. Well, gameplay, characters, and beginning setup, basically. But what about the story? Now let's get into the story, and the story is by far the most groundbreaking and best part of the game, and so it really helps you keep going for a game like this. So let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. So yeah, what I liked most about Tales of Arise was the groundbreaking story, And this story, it is perfect in every single right that it has to be perfect. It just has so many great moments in it that will keep you going. This game is filled with cutscenes and has a lot of them, but in a very good way. Everything about this game was just well done with the story. It has so many good and deep moments. And Alpha and Shio's relationship is what's really great about the story, and it really helps. And what I like about it is that it helps them basically get through the weaknesses, basically, and that's honestly kind of unique for the series. Well, maybe it is. I mean, the only other Tales game I played was Vesperia, so I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's a very good and unique story, and yeah. Each the characters have some very strong stuff that add to it. And what I like about the story is, I liked how it went from Alphen, losing his memory at the beginning, but then gaining it back throughout the game. That was really, really interesting. And I like to see that in games, too. And that was really cool to see that there. So, yeah. Everything about this story was just nearly perfect. And everything in this was just really good, and everything. Each character is unique in their own way, and with what they bring to the story, and yeah. And the pacing does get a little off at the end, but however, the story is still very good at the end, and it has a pretty good ending too. So yeah, Tales of Arise this game has a very great story with it, and that was perfect for a game like this. And the ending especially was really great, especially. And yeah, and Wolverine was a very good villain. He had a great role in this story as well. So yeah, and that's honestly what I like most about this. A very unique story and everything, so yeah. So another thing I like about the story too is how evolved the characters went from the start of the game to the end of the game. As Alphen actually changes heavily from the beginning to the end, with him getting his memories back, with him losing his mask that he has at the beginning. There's a lot of depth to the story too, and that's something that I also like to see in JRPGs too. As in JRPGs, I care most about story, so I need at least a decent story to keep me going, and this game does that super duper well. And yeah. Now I loved Tales of Vesperia when I played it in early 2021 to get ready for this game, but with this game, took what I loved about Vesperia and brought an even better experience. And this game was the perfect way to innovate the Tales series for the better. So yes, a perfectly crafted game that this game pretty much is. So yeah, and now one more thing that I liked about it too was I liked Alphen's abilities too, and that also heavily brought it. That also helped bring the story forward. His interactions were perfect for the game, and yeah. And also like perfect all the moments. They were all nice and well crafted. So yeah. So in conclusion, Tales of Arise is, man, it is a masterpiece. What a game. This game is by far my favorite game of all time for all these perfect reasons I mentioned. A perfect, deep, and compelling story with so many good moments, and some really great gameplay too, and a very fun combat. Definitely. It's by far my favorite JRPG battle system that this game has. So yes, everything about this game was everything that I wanted from a Tales game. everything I asked for, and definitely glad that Bandai Namco took 5 years of hiatus between this and Berseria. So yeah, I mean, it was a 5-year wait, and they delayed it from 2020 to 2021, but it was perfectly worth it. And the new graphics that they had previously used for Coaching and Scarlet Nexus, I'm really glad that they used it in this game. So yes, in conclusion, it was a game with very fun combat, great overworld exploration, and unique, amazing characters, and a very captivating and enjoyed, and very story with a lot of enjoyment with it. So yeah, this is my favorite game of all time, and I don't know what else to say about it. But yeah. Anyway, though, that's it for this video. We'll see you guys next time. Agent S out.